Hello and welcome back to Psychic Live here on Living TV. We'll find out more from Sandy Walsh, the Emmerdale actress who's been with us all afternoon, and find out what's been happening with her and Sharon Neal and that reading that we left on tenterhooks just before the break. But in the meantime, Psychic Live is about all things paranormal. We want to hear your paranormal stories. And one such couple who join me now, Daryl and Maria, apparently have one of the most haunted pubs in Great Britain, if not the most haunted one in Wales. Is that right?
That's correct.
Certainly.
OK, and the name of that hostelry is?
It's the Skerrid Inn.
Now, you're probably loath to tell me that because I gather that when Yvette and Derek and the whole team from Most Haunted descended on your pub, well, they made it a bit of a national institution, didn't they? Let's find out what happened on Most Haunted when they paid you a visit.
This bar has everything a traveller could wish for. A refreshing drink, good food and a warm welcome. But objects move in this room, and in this particular spot, several people have felt their throats constricting as if they were being strangled. And so severe are these feelings that people have found rope burn marks around their necks, where previously there were no marks at all.
Oh, terrifying stuff. What happened since the Most Haunted team?
What hasn't happened?
What hasn't happened, indeed? Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. Daryl, tell us.
The latest thing that happened was we were watching Most Haunted on Sunday. A break came on, and I said to Maria, "Who's ringing the bell?" And she said, "What bell?" I said, "There's a bell ringing." She said, "No, there isn't." I said, "There's a bell ringing." Turned round, looked upon the shelf on the staircase, and there's a bell on the staircase.
And I said, "There's no bell on the staircase. There's never been a bell on this staircase." And he said, "There's one there now." And it appeared, it was actually a little china bell that was in one of the letting bedrooms upstairs. And there's no earthly reason why it should have moved from the bedroom to the staircase.
Yeah. Is this the bell here?
This is it.
So you brought this from the pub?
Yeah. A little tinkle like that.
Now, a little tinkle indeed, but enough to send shivers down your spine, I would imagine. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Did you know the inn was haunted when you actually bought it?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Because I hear tell that actually one buyer was put off. The lady who owned it previously almost flogged it, and then they found out by doing a little digging that it was actually haunted, and they fled. But not you.
No, but what actually happened was the previous landlady told us there was a guy interested in buying the pub, and on the day he should have turned up to sign the lease, he didn't show. There was a problem with the money or something. And all the time he was interested, the glasses behind the bar kept throwing themselves off and shattering.
So you'd leave, wouldn't you?
And once he went away and we came on the scene, it stopped happening. So touch wood, they wanted us and not him, maybe.
Unbelievable. Now, you've brought something else from the pub here, and I happen to know that this hasn't left the pub ever, has it? Tell us a little bit about this, Daryl.
This is called the Devil's Cup.
Right.
Historically, we don't really know a lot about it. We know it dates back to 1879. Landlords traditionally fill it up every evening before they go to bed and leave it there for any passing person to have a drink and hopefully leave the pub alone. Now, this is the first time it's not been there.
So we don't know whether
the pub's there when we get back or whether it's gone. Sometimes it won't empty at all. Other times you can come down in the morning, it'll be half empty. Sometimes maybe an inch, 2 inches has gone out of it.
No, I suppose
it's never been empty and it's never been off the premises.
Well, it's wet your whistle for all things paranormal, I think it's fair to say. Any danger of you selling the inn?
No way.
not at the moment.
It's a gold mine now that Yvette's been there. We want to hear your paranormal stories. Give us a call, 08709 045 045, or email us psychiclive@livingtv.co.uk. Daryl and Maria, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, for coming so far. There. Welcome back to Psychic Live here on Living TV. What we love about this show is hearing your real-life stories, so do keep them coming in. And we were chatting earlier in the show during one of the breaks, and I'd like to introduce you to a chap called Jason, who's got a cheeky little story for you that may chill your water. Now, Jason, this happened how long ago?
About 10, 15 years ago.
And you were working as a removal man?
That's right.
And you happened upon two chairs, and you took one of them?
Yep, that's right.
Tell us what happened when you took that chair home.
We ended up with a spooky figure in our house.
Right, OK.
One night I was asleep, about 3 o'clock in the morning. I heard a rustling outside the front of my bedroom door. The door swung open, and I had a black cloaked figure walk straight past my bed.
And how did you feel at that point?
I was pretty freaked out at the time. Anyway, I told my mum and dad in the morning what had happened, and they just thought I was joking about, just said, "Oh, go away." Anyway, the next morning, I woke up about the same time, 3 o'clock in the morning, to hearing my dad scream. So I ran into the room, I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "It's been in here." what you saw last night has been in here. She says, your dad didn't look at it, but it's been in here, I've seen it. It's been at the bottom of the bed, it's glided to one side, and it's disappeared again. And she said the bed is absolutely soaked. He is
drenched.
Absolutely
Drenched.
drenched.
Which you would be, wouldn't you, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah. Especially if black's not your colour. So what happened next?
Well, it was the next night which prompted me, Dad, to get rid of the chair. We had a dog. She was as placid as anything. She was like a Dulux dog. She wouldn't growl, hurt anybody. But she used to sit at the bottom of the stairs, looking up at the top of the stairs, and she was growling. Next minute, she come running into the room, threw herself really hard up against my knee, shaking. And she followed whatever it was coming in through the door, and it came right next to me, and the cushion of the sofa went right down.
So it compressed as if a figure was sitting on it?
As the figure sat down on it. And both me and my mum saw it happen. If it had just been me that had seen it, then I would have questioned it, but as everybody else had seen it.
And your father, meantime, had fled, had he?
Yeah, he wasn't too happy with the house after that, and soon we moved over, and he threw it down the tip, got rid of it.
Got rid of the chair?
Yeah.
And as a result of that, did you believe before? Were you...
Yeah, because I actually saw my granddad the night before he died. Sat at the bottom of my bed. So,
right.
yeah, ever since then I've been...
So you were open to that kind of experience anyway. Chilling stuff, and I'm sure there are quite a few more chilling stories like that out there, and we want to hear from you. 08709 045 045 is the number to call. psychiclive@livingtv.co.uk is the email address. Do keep your stories coming in and join us here at the Psychic Live audience. Keith Charles, our psychic detective, is with us. I'm sure, briefly, Keith, that you've heard many a story like that.
Very, very similar. But what I thought was interesting about what you said was that it never put you off.
No.
And it made him, I'm sure, investigate further. Because the experience was so real, he wanted to find out more. Had it have been one of those experiences, did I see something, did I not? Then it wouldn't have been. But did you notice, although he said he was frightened about it, I bet you welcomed it to happen again.
I was fascinated by it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So many people do, because they're saying, you know, the first time, was it real or wasn't it? So we sort of encourage it. And when they come back and they show you themselves, people get a little bit spooked by it, but there's nothing to be frightened of.
Nothing to be frightened of. There you are. Don't be having any nightmares.
No.
Keith, thank you for joining us today on the show, and Jason as well for your story. Now it's time to catch up with those chaps in the studio audience who got a reading from our very own Derek Acorah on the show earlier. Let's remind ourselves of what happened right here on Psychic Live just minutes ago.
She's going, I get the impressions also, please, about a bracelet and also something to go around the neck.
I'm not quite sure.
Right, has there been an issue, and it's not a question, about a loss of an item like this? Lillian, thank you. Who is Lillian?
That's my mother-in-law.
Your mother-in-law?
Yes.
Oh, what a... Ooh.
Could have been anybody's mother-in-law. Derek Acorah is back with Dave Cudd from Suffolk.
Yes.
Ipswich way, sir.
Ipswich.
So, Dave,
Yes.
overbearing mother-in-law. I suppose it could be anybody's, but does that ring a
could
bell
be.
with you?
Yes.
Now, since you've been on the show, you've been upstairs to verify a few things, I understand.
yeah.
And there was a mention of some jewellery, Derek,
yes,
wasn't there?
yes, there was.
Some jewellery. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that, Dave.
Well, at the time I didn't realise, you know, but she was a lady with the jewellery around her neck.
She liked her bling.
And, of course, it belongs to her.
Okay, and the jewellery was lost, is that right?
Well, it's been... She passed over about 4 months ago.
Right.
So the jewellery is sort of hidden in a cupboard at the moment until, I don't know, the family decides what they're going to do with it.
What they're going to do with it? Okay.
They'll share it amongst all of them.
So are you pleased you came down to Psychic Live today?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? It was quite a good reading for you, wasn't it?
It was a very good reading.
And were you sceptical before you came down, or is it something that you've been
No.
inclined to believe in anyway?
I've always believed in it, and I've always watched Derek.
And a big fan of Derek's
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, great
They're
fan.
everywhere.
Yeah.
They walk among us, ladies and gentlemen, fans of Derek Acorah. Well, if you'd like a reading, like the lovely Dave here, then why not join us here in the studio? Or you can give us a call. 08709 045 045 is the number to call here at Psychic Live, or email us, psychiclive@livingtv.co.uk. We have a team of esteemed mediums at your beck and call. Do we not, Derek?
Absolutely, Richard.
You'll be back, sir, won't you?
Oh, I hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
You'll be back next week, of course, Mondays and Thursdays here on Psychic Live. Thank you, Dave, for joining us today. Coming up tomorrow at 5:10, I'm delighted to welcome to the Psychic Live studio John O'Coleman. He'll be down here to join us for a celebrity reading with none other than the lovely Mia Dolan. Also on the show, how are your astrologicals? I do mean that in a good way. We'll be gazing up at the celestials above with the lovely Kat Yavor. That's at 5:10 tomorrow.